This process will eventually get fixed, you're saying, but right now we've been 2 weeks without a speaker at a really critical time. So how does
Sure.
Congress plan to help out Israel right now? How do we aid Israel without a speaker?
Well, we have already stopped. We have already well prepared and well supplied Israel right now to fight the horrible Hamas terrorists. And so it's not critical right yesterday at this moment, this to do this yesterday, that we fight them. It will happen soon enough, and we do need to get united in the Republican Party to be able to help our ally.
I do want to talk about Israel now. Hamas launched an attack on Israel via land, air, and sea, the deadliest they have seen in decades on October 7th. Since then, Israel has bombarded parts of Gaza, and there's an expected ground invasion to occur. So what do you make of the Biden administration's response over the past 2 weeks?
Well, the Biden administration has done an absolute failure in emboldening Iran to assist its proxies. Let us just not forget, just a few weeks ago, Secretary Blinken led to the fact that he was freeing up $6 billion in assets to help the Iranians. Well, Israel wants $10 billion. I prefer we give that to the Israelis. Now, yeah, and there's been this argument the $6 billion was going to go for humanitarian aid. Let's be realistic. The Iranians have done everything possible to work around any type of restrictions that have happened on their government. We've allowed, the Biden administration has allowed the Iranian government to enrich uranium up to 60%. It was 4% during the Trump administration. It's 90% to have a nuclear bomb. It's absolute naivety to allow the Iranians, who are self-avowed, want to tear this country down, to give them the power that the Biden administration is giving them. The real problem in this world is we need to support our allies, those who we carry on as a democracy, as friends in democracy, and to support them to help annihilate these people who don't believe that Israel, the state of Israel, has the right to exist.
I do just want to point out the White House has said there's no evidence supporting any claim that that funding did go to Hamas. But I do want to talk about our relationship
Well,
with.
I'm not going. I want to interrupt you, Brittany. There's no evidence, but there's no evidence per the FBI in 2019 that Hunter Biden's laptop was Hunter Biden's, that it was Russian disinformation. So I'm sorry if I have a difficult time believing anything that the White House says.
I do want to talk about some Wall Street Journal reporting on this. I'm sure you've seen it. They reported that Iran is actually involved in helping plan the Hamas attack. So A, what do you think of that reporting? And B, how is this going to change the United States' relationship with Iran? Because as you know, we haven't had a diplomatic relationship since the 80s. So what does that look like going forward?
Well, it's interesting. The Wall Street Journal is saying what the Biden administration is saying isn't happening. I believe the Wall Street Journal in this case. Point blank, when it is so naive to believe that these countries that want to see the United States and Israel absolutely fail, it's absolutely naive to think that a carrot is going to make relations better and make them play better in the sandbox. They only understand strength. We saw that with the last administration, it was strength. And the Iranians were not able to achieve much. Now that we have an absolute weak government with Biden administration that seeks to appease bullies in the world, they're emboldened. Look at what happened with Putin. He was absolutely emboldened to do what he did in Ukraine during the disaster, right after the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. So it's called strength against these evil regimes rather than weakness.
Just to be clear, do you think it is the Biden administration's fault that Putin invaded Ukraine?
I absolutely believe that when the disastrous withdrawal in Afghanistan against Biden acted against his own generals to withdraw from the Bagram airfield and all these other things, created an absolute vacuum in that part of the world where our allies were embarrassed with us and absolutely emboldened Putin to then move. These plans have been on the shelves for years. He probably turned to his general and said, now's the time to move. So I absolutely correlate what happened in Ukraine with the debacle in Afghanistan. Yes, I do.